Hey YouTube, I'm K-Knight23, the video game professor, and today we're talking about Blade and Soul character stats and priority. So buckle in and get your notepad out, because I'm going to reveal my not-so-secret technique, math. Watcha! The most important thing to remember is this. Unlike other mainstream MMOs, the best way to avoid damage is to physically not get hit by it. That means in Pve Encounters, when mobs have predictable and static patterns, knowing the fight means you will take a lot less damage if your personal skill to actually avoid telegraphs, be able to counter and block incoming attacks is high enough. For that reason, we're going to prioritize most of the offensive skills in PvE play and save the defensive skills for PvP. But let's start by going through what we have. Attack power is your base attack power. In most cases, raising this will provide the greatest return in terms of damage. Evolved attack, this is apparently an endgame stat that I haven't really been able to figure out, so yeah. Piercing will negate an opponent's defense stat to a minimum of 0%. Accuracy will increase the chance of hitting a target with attacks and skills. Concentration allows you to bypass counters and blocks. Critical is going to increase your base chance at landing a critical attack. Critical damage affects how much your damage is increased during a critical strike. Mastery is how long buffs from skills will last. Additional damage adds damage to your attacks. Threat determines how much of your damage is calculated as a threat. Flame damage increases your flame damage, and frost damage increases your frost damage. For defense, HP affects your total hit points. Defense affects how much you reduce damage by. Evolved defense, I really have no idea. Evasion is the chance of taking no damage from a skill or attack and increases the efficiency of counters. Block is how often you'll block an attack and how much damage reduction you'll get on a blocked attack. Critical defense is a way to mitigate being critically hit. Willpower will reduce the duration of negative status effects. Damage reduction, after all calculations are made, reduces the damage by a final amount. Health regen is how much health you'll regenerate out of and in combat. Recovery is how much additional health you gain during recovery. Debuff defense is the defense gained while you're under negative status effects. So it's going to be important to understand how damage is calculated before we go any further. Shout out to Chaos5 from Freedom Gaming for this research. Check out her original post here. Basically, your base attack is influenced by your weapon and accessories and level. Additionally, the skills you use have a hidden amplification damage. To figure it out, remove any accessories you have that have the add damage stat. Note what your attack power is. Then take a note of what your average skill damage is. Then remove your weapon and note the attack power. Again, note the average damage of the same skill. Plug the numbers in using this formula, and that will give you the skill amplification percentage. Now, you can take that amplification number and use it to determine if you would be better with the base attack increases or added damage increases. For example, let's say our amplification is 200% and I have an item with 20 base attack. 2 times 20 would equal an increase of 40 damage. Now, if I had an item that was simply plus 20 to added damage, well, that just adds 20 points of damage to the skill. So in this case, the plus 20 to base attack is better by 20 points of damage. Long story short, if the skill amplification percent is greater than 100%, base attack is more powerful. If it's less than 100%, additional damage is more powerful. Damn, math. Like I said, check out the link in the description for more depth and detail. The next thing to consider is defense. Defense reduces the damage that you're going to take by a percent. Defense is bypassed by the Pierce skill. Pierce will reduce the target's defense by that percent. So if your defense is 15% and my Pierce is 10%, you will only have a 5% damage reduction. Important thing to remember here is that you cannot reduce someone's defense below 0. So if your defense is 15% and my Pierce is 25%, I'll reduce your defense to 0 with my attacks, but I would have wasted 10%. For Pve Encounters, bosses will have a fixed defense. Having more Pierce than they have defense ends up being a waste. PvP is a little trickier as you can't be sure what your opponent's defense is. Just like how Pierce and defense are contested stats, so are accuracy and evasion. If you have 90% accuracy and your opponent has 20% evasion, you have a 70% chance to hit them. So on to priority. For PvE, get your accuracy up to about 90 to 100% accuracy. PvE bosses don't usually have a very high evasion, so once your accuracy is around that, you can focus on other skills. Critical hit. You want your critical hit to be as high as possible. You'll just get more bang for your buck here when it comes to damage. In addition to critical hit, you want to increase your Pierce. Again, you're looking to bypass their defense completely. The highest boss defense is about 20 or 25%, so aim for at least 20 Pierce to make sure all your damage goes through their defenses. Note, although Pierce does affect how much damage is given during a block, it's super difficult to completely negate a block. With a high critical and a high Pierce, I would then focus on upping your HP. As I said earlier, in a PvE situation, the attacks are predictable. A skilled player can mitigate the damage of a boss easily with their abilities and positioning. However, mistakes happen. So, when they do, having a higher health pool will absorb that mistake a little better. The idea is, you're not getting hit a lot, so when the big hit does come, make sure you have a lot of hit points. For PvP, the rules change. Now, as a reminder, stats and gear are normalized in Arena PvP, so this only applies to open world. In open world PvP, you want to focus more on defense due to the unpredictable nature of your encounters. Defense and HP will certainly be the skills you want to up here, with other priorities being dependent on your class. For instance, a Kung Fu Master in PvP should increase their evasion to get the most out of their counter ability, while a Blade Master might want to increase their block. Blade and Soul isn't the kind of MMO where you put your numbers against your enemy's numbers and see who wins. There is a lot of skill involved in this game. Gear won't make up for stupid, so practice, learn, and play smart. That's all I have for today, YouTube. What skills are you maxing out for your class? Let me know in the comments below. Also, please be sure to follow us on Twitch and Twitter at the links provided, and hit that like button, and subscribe for more videos. This is K-Knight23, the Video Game Professor, signing out.